Brad is up next. Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Brad, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. How can I help?
Well, I want to get your input on how I get employers when I'm applying to kind of see my willingness to learn and move up with a company over just seeing my previous job experiences.
Okay. Well, unless I'm missing something, and you may need to be more specific. Okay.
Sure.
But my first reaction is the way to do that is to communicate that well in these interviews. To say, hey, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a guy who loves learning. I love correction. I love instruction because I'm a sponge. I'm a human sponge. And what am I missing? Because that's my answer to your very straightforward question. Is there something else?
I just feel like when I apply, people see that I started out in high school, my first job, moving up the ranks, doing that through college, and then I got an opportunity to switch careers. I got into it. My brother-in-law kind of got me in the door. It was a big jump in pay. So now that I'm trying to get back to what my degree is in, I feel like they just see my food service background, my current sales background, and they don't really see my management experience and what I want to go forward into. I just feel like I get tied down based on my past job experiences.
Okay.
I'm not getting a lot of the interviews when I'm trying to, and now that I've went through Get Hired, I've got those resources, try to reformulate my resume and do that too. I just was wondering if there's more, maybe in interviews once I start landing them more to try to emphasize that I really love learning.
Yeah.
I learn really fast. And just, that I would hope would be a desirable trait in hiring somebody.
It is, but it feels like to me the issue is you're not getting interviews. And I'm glad you came to the online Get Hired event because now you know what to do. And the reality is correct me if I'm wrong, you've been submitting resumes and you've not been really using the web of connections that you have that we talk about in the best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. You're not using those. So therefore, all they're looking at is a resume. Is that right? Is that what's happening?
Sure. A couple instances I have had some pretty high up references, and that really hasn't helped me get in the door yet. I've tried applying a couple times to different places with those references, and it hasn't landed me anywhere yet.
Tell me how that worked. What did the reference do? Just give you a quote and put it on the top of the resume like I teach? Is that all that happened?
Yeah, for the most part. And
what does that? Hold on. What does that mean for the most part? Does that mean did these people make a phone call for you? Did they walk your resume in to that hiring manager, or did they just give you a reference quote? Was there a real relationship connection?
Give me a reference quote.
Yeah, but see, that's not a real connection. Did these people who gave you a quote, did they know somebody personally that was in the company that you applied to?
Yeah.
Did they call them?
No.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, listen, I want to encourage you. The only reason you're not getting interviews is because you're not going the extra mile to do what most people don't do. You're doing what everybody does. You did half of what I'm teaching. And it's okay because I know you just came to the event, so now you know how to do it, yes?
Yeah.
But what you want is those people who know somebody, they call somebody over there and go, listen, let me tell you about my pal Brad. Really sharp guy. He's going to apply at your company. He's applying in this department. Will you do me a massive favor? Will you find out who the hiring manager is? And will you be willing to take my recommendation? It's going to be at the top of Brad's resume. I'm going to email it to you as soon as we hang up. Would you be willing to walk that resume into that and hand it to him and say, there's a guy named Brad who just applied online, but we've got a mutual relationship and this person's high on Brad. And just wanted you to know, I really trust the word of so-and-so. You see what I'm saying? Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
And let me tell you why this is really important in your particular situation, Brad. And it's important for everybody. But in your situation, you don't have a ton of relevant experience, but you do have some experience and you feel confident you've got the talent. And so if they just look at your resume, that's why you're not getting calls. You even admitted that. Isn't that correct?
Yep.
So how do you get above and beyond your experience? What's the answer? How do you get above and beyond the experience? What's the one thing, Brad, that gets you past your lack of experience?
Knowing somebody.
That's it. But no, it's not just knowing somebody. That connection has got to go to bat for you. And you've got to say, look, I know I've got what it takes, but the only way I'm going to get in for an interview is if you really vouch for me. Now, not everybody's going to do this. I get it. But we also have to ask for it, Brad. We've got to say, will you do it this way, the way I just described? And I'm telling you, if someone's willing to do that, I'm never going to say that it's a guarantee that you're going to get the interview. And I'd never say that it's guaranteed you're going to get hired. What I'm saying is that eventually the process will get you interviews. I guarantee that eventually. Now, I don't know how quick it's going to happen. I'm not going to sell a bunch of snake oil and say, oh, this is the ironclad 3-step process. You'll get an interview every time. No, that's a bunch of garbage. Okay. But what we're doing is if you do it the way that I teach folks, and by the way, all 3 Get Hired guides, the resume guide, the interview guide, the follow-up guide, all of them are free at kencoleman.com. Do it. And by the way, these are PDFs, easy to read. Tells you everything you need to do, how to do it. Folks, we're talking thousands and thousands of people have emailed to say, this works. This works. I got another email this morning from Joe. It's like every other day I get these emails. Hey, Ken, your stuff works. I know it works. I know it works. That's why we created it. Relationships are the edge for you to get the job. I don't care how pretty your resume is. You can use the Ken Coleman resume template all you want to. And if you don't do it the right way and make sure that you've got a relationship working for you, you are going to be acting on the same odds as everybody else. Now, let me clarify something else, and we're going to go to the chat room. Because I've gotten a couple emails and social media questions on this, and it's worth addressing. Now, listen. I've had somebody go, well, Ken, I was working so hard on a connection, and I couldn't find the connection, and then they filled the position. Okay, so if you cannot, and you haven't found a connection yet, you feel like you're going to miss the opportunity, then submit your resume, and you just go ahead and get yourself the old-fashioned way and hope that they like your resume, and it's going to look very different. We're trying to give you the edge there. So I'm not telling you to not apply. I'm just, if you don't have a relationship connection in the building, I'm just telling you, your odds go dramatically up if you do it with a connection, just the way I described it to Brad. So, but if you don't have a connection and you can't find it, keep working on the connections, go ahead and submit it. I would never tell you not to submit. I'm just telling you your opportunities close at a higher rate when you are leveraging a connection. That's all. All right, get that. I want to be very clear on that.